body, our mind, and our soul are all in complete alignment with each other. Feel that oneness with each and every breath as you breathe in and breathe out. Our life is the most beautiful expression the most magical smile on your face. Thank you, friends. Hope you all had a beautiful session of meditation.
Thank you, madam, for the wonderful meditation. Thank you and welcome all who have joined for the today's session, Ethical and Yogic Excellence Level 1. And today's class is happiness analysis with humble gratitude to Brahmarshi Subhash Patriji, founder of Pyramid Spiritual Societies, and humble gratitude to Dr. Sivarappa sir. I request to continue today's class. Thank you, sir. Sir, please unmute. Sir, please unmute yourself.
Yes. So thank you very much, Koteswaraji, as well as Anantiji, for your very melodious meditation journey.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, all of us should learn only one practice, that is meditation. Of all the practices, whatever you want, you will do it. But meditation practice is compulsory for everyone, for all kinds of people. Let them be of any category. Whether they can be any professional, whether they are at any position, whether they may be rich or not, all these things. There is no question of any sort of exemption to any kind of person. The compulsory practice. Human has to learn this first lesson in his life. Whoever misses it, he will lose happiness. He will never be happy. However, whatever kind of work you do, whatever kind of knowledge you possess, whatever kind of work you do, any amount of Herculean tasks it may undertake, but they all result in semi-happiness. That's it. Absolute happiness you will never be able to find out. This is the secret of the humanity's miseries, in fact. The misery is that they do not know what is happiness. So today's class is very relevant, my dear masters. Kindly let us understand this. Let us analyze what is happiness. Know, come to know, and then make them, everybody know this. After all, every person is after happiness. There is nobody who doesn't want happiness. But is there anyone who knows what is happiness? It's the contrary. Everybody wants happiness, but nobody knows happiness. This is the today's scenario. This is a big irony, Okay. This is a big challenge to the humanity. What to do? But nothing to lose, heart. Any point of time we should start the game, to win the game. At any point of time, we should be ready to overcome everything, whatever we have. Anything shortage, yes. Now I am ready for that, to overcome that. That is the sportive. That is the game of the humanity here. On this planet, we have to have a very big game of finding happiness for everyone. Everyone is playing his own game to find happiness. But not knowing, unknowingly, they are the victims of failures. Nobody is able to win over the game of happiness. Alas, it is. Only those people who have the knowledge of spiritual science can offer to know this. As far as they are distant from this spiritual science, there is no chance to understand how to be happy. So, my dear masters, today we should come to know that it is not a big task, it is a very easy. Only thing is that we have to decide to be happy, first of all. I will bring about now some slides for you to understand very quickly about it. Let us see after sharing the screen, I'll do that. My dear masters, I believe that you have the wider screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Pyramid Spiritual Societies Movement Global and Pyramid Spiritual Science Academy Global. Both have taken the responsibility of reaching this kind of spiritual science to everyone across the globe, each and every corner of the globe, each and every personality, every person of the globe. Why? Because we are all one. This is the universal science. Brahmarshi Pitamaha Patriji has brought on a wonderful movement where meditation is the target, only one point of program. What is that? Meditation, dhyan, which is the central point, which is the root of happiness of the humanity. If anybody wants happiness, then he can go and take refuge under meditation. Then he will get it. Cocksure, without any failure. So let us see what it is now. My dear masters, as usual, every day we are recapitulating about the spiritual science in essential topics that form part of spiritual science. I wish to remind it 1,000 times so that these three topics, always, they should be in the minds of the people for implementation. Always, they should be in the knowledge of this. They should not forget. The moment to moment awareness should be with only this kind of spiritual science. What is that? Three topics. What is? Number one is love, a noble virtue. Love makes everybody one. We are all one. The truth. Spiritual science is called truthful science. It is the science of truth. Satyam. Brahma Satya. Atma is truth. My dear masters, Atma Gnana is the science of truth. Spirit is Atma. Spiritual knowledge, Atma Gnana. What is it? Satyam. Truth. So what is spiritual science? It is the science of truth. Truthful science it is. Truthful life is given by truthful science. My dear masters, we have to be sincere to understand what it is in fact. We are not interested in hearsays, what people go on telling, and then forget about it. It is not so. We have to catch hold of every word in spiritual science. Now, love is like that. You must implement to be a loving personality throughout the life. Loving everyone, including yourself. You should never hate yourself. That is the thing. And don't hate anyone else. And second topic is, you are already aware of that, that is called wisdom. Wisdom is a sort of clarity in the life. So what is right, what is not? That's all. It is not to be confused as a knowledge, my dear masters. Knowledge is an objective science. Wisdom is the subjective science. You are needed for wisdom, and the objects are needed for knowledge. Kindly understand that. Objective knowledge it is, informatory knowledge. And wisdom is creative knowledge. Wisdom is subjective knowledge, which manages the knowledge. Wisdom manages all kinds of knowledges. So, my dear masters, we should have that sort of wisdom, that is mental capability. It will create a mental environment for the society to deal with very properly, to be always happy, to be always stable. The environment will be very, very healthy when one's mind is healthy. My dear masters, today is a World Environment Day. What is the cause for this? Today world environmental pollution is very on the top. That's why they have made a day for that. Why? Because we are losing the healthy environment. Our nature is taking a beat. How it is possible to keep the nature unpolluted, environment unpolluted? How? People are studying in various knowledges of this. Many physical scientists are having lot of study. How much of study? Going on, continuous, limitless study they are doing with all objective sciences. But actually the answer is in subjective science. Unless your mental attitude is okay, your environment will not be okay, Baba. Unless one is wise enough, he cannot make his life happy. So everything is mental environment is very, very essential to ensure physical environmental purity, cleanliness. So, my dear masters, this clarity in the life is very, very essential. That is what we are going to tell you. And similarly, we have a third content. What is that? Power. Power means human potentials you must use to the fullest extent. You are omnipotent. You should know. Omnipotent, omniscient, see, omnipresent. These are all capabilities attributed to you. Then only you can manage yourself to the fullest extent, and then you can also manage everybody. You will be able to help yourself and keep all the people around you also very, very happy. My dear master, these are the three topics, that go into the spiritual lifestyle. Spiritual lifestyle has to have these three topics, the three paths in his life, okay? And then you will find happiness automatically. Ethical and yogic excellence course includes analysis of happiness for the benefit of the pupil. Analysis of happiness. First of all, we should know what is happiness. People are simply say, are you happy, happy, happy? Yes, everybody happy. After going house, a lot of turbulence in the mind. Hey Ram, they will say, oh my God. This is all what people. But being questioned, how are you? I am happy. What is this? Internally, you are not happy, but externally, you always say, I am happy. What is this? Pseudo happiness, it is called. Who is happy? Tell me. Shastra says, so many philosophers, they are all highly, scientific in their findings. They have done a lot of research in order to help the humanity so that they can be happy at least. So the question came, who is happy at least? And the answer, none practically. A great Sufi master by name Hazrat Inayat Khan, he has written one book, Alchemy of Happiness. Kindly catch hold of that. Kindly read it. You will be enlightened about the points that he has brought out for happiness. A really wonderful book. Hats off to him. He says, nobody is happy, what to do? The cause is that people are not happy because people are looking for happiness outside. Happiness is not outside to purchase. Everybody thinks, to be happy, I should spend some money. To be happy, I should purchase everything, whatever I wish. I should fulfill all my desires. Then only I can be happy. Otherwise, I will not be happy. That is how people are going on, missing the bus of happiness, my dear masters, in the whole life, because they never find any kind of solutions for their desires. Desire by desire, desire by desire, this eternal tale, it's going on continuously. And at last, people will have to vacate the bodies, vacate the planet without understanding what is happiness. And he defines that your soul itself is happiness. My dear masters, you are not able to understand who you are. You yourself are the happiness. You are yourself are the great content of happiness. You should feel happy for having that much of awareness in you compared to other species. You are the superior most species in this planet. And your soul is omniscient, all-knowing. Omniscient means all-knowing. Everything he knows. Brahmagnana, everything he knows. Atmagnana, that is everything. Atma is Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Atma, idam Brahman. This is Atharvana Veda dictum, I am Atma, idam Brahman. This soul itself is the creator. Kindly understand the truths of eternity. Then you will be close to the real meaning of happiness. Some do not know this actually, that soul is happiness. Soul, where is it? It is in you only. So when one soul is in you, then you should be always happy. But you do not know that you have a soul. That is the thing. You don't understand what you have got in you. You say that I am the physical body. Then there is no link. There is no connection to draw the energies of happiness from the soul. So you have to align yourself with the soul. That you are not doing. That is the reason we lack the connection. Water tap is there, but no water is there because connection is not given. Tap is there and water is there. Both are there. Connection is missing. Okay. That connection is nothing but meditation. You understand, my dear masters? Very simple technology. It will connect your mind with the soul. Yeah, draw enormous energies from the soul. Enormous happiness always. Draw all solutions for your life. Okay. Some do not know this, that soul is happiness. That's why they cannot be happy. And some other people, some know this because they hear, they go here and there, search for happiness and look for some sort of information. Baba, where is that? They go to guru in search of the truth. How I can find happiness and all that. But they could not get proper information, or having received also, they are not capable of being in meditation. So they miss again the bus. They are also not happy. So in this way, everybody is unhappy. Now, if you understand, if you analyze, if you go to investigate what is happiness, we will find two kinds of happinesses, in fact. What are those? Number one is sense object enjoyment. Number two is no sense object enjoyment. Only two are there. What is called? First one is sense object enjoyment. Sense means we have five senses. Our physical body has been blessed with five senses. What are those five senses? Gnana Indriyas in Sanskrit, Gnanendriyas, and Karmendriyas also. Five are there. Totally 10 are there. What are these? You know already, we have already discussed. Physical body. It is a part of physical body. Actually, they are at the behest of the astral body. In fact, all the sense organs are the properties of astral body, but it will work through the physical body. Okay. Eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin. These are the sense organs. When eye comes into contact with any object, then it will feel happy. Suppose the eye sees a wonderful object in a textile shop, a wonderful saree, then immediately it feels very, very happy on purchasing it. Possessive happiness it is. Purchase, get it to the house, and go on seeing about it and feeling happy. How long? You cannot be experiencing that happiness for a long time. Half an hour, 1 hour, or maximum 1 day. Afterwards, so many other issues will overtake you and your happiness has gone. Sense object enjoyment. That means every sense comes into contact with some sort of object. Then only this kind of happiness you can experience. That is called sense object enjoyment. We will understand what this in detail. Second one is no sense object enjoyment. There is an enjoyment, but that enjoyment is experienced without the intervention of any sense. No sense is required for being happy. How it is that? We can study that also in this class. Sense object enjoyment. First we study this topic. One is sense object enjoyment. That means we have got senses. 5 senses are there. Sense organs are Jnanendriyas and duty organs are Karmendriyas. Okay. Now we are taking sense organ, that is Jnanendriyas. Now you see, the first one is this sense object enjoyment has also been classified into 3 parts, 3 kinds. Number 1 is comfort. You feel very happy, no? You feel you say that I am comfortable. Then it is a pleasure. The people say, no, he is at very great pleasure, okay, at certain ceremonies. And he is very peaceful in mind. So these are all the 3 kinds of happinesses, where we derive it from the contact of senses with objects. Number 1, comfort. What is the meaning of comfort? It belongs to the whole body. Suppose you are sitting in a sofa, you feel comfortable. And you switch on the fan, you are feeling comfortable with the breeze, no? That air comes in and contact with your skin. You are sitting in a car, very comfortable. With AC further, very comfortable. So these are all experienced by the physical body, isn't it? So the whole body is experiencing this. This kind of happiness, comfort zone is called comfort. But how long it will be? Is a temporary. So long you are in the car, you will be. You cannot be there for long, You have to come out of that. Then no comfort is there. So this sort of comfort is not called as happiness. It's only very temporary. Very temporary. You understand? And second one is pleasures. We'll understand further about comfort. Comfort has got limitations, likes, dislikes, law of depreciation and moods. Suppose even if you are given a wonderful chair to sit, if you like to sit with that person, then you will be happy. If you don't like the person, then you will not be able to take the chair offered to you, isn't it? So your comfort is dependent on your liking. Whether you are happy with him or not, that is going to decide your happiness. But the comfort is not obtained even by the chair. Chair is comfortable, but unless you use it willingly, you cannot feel happiness. Dislikes also like that. You may dislike some person, then you don't enjoy with whatever he gives you because you have disliked that person. Same thing, likes and dislikes. Sometimes you like certain thing, but it is not there. Okay. And then you cannot have any sort of comfort there. And law of depreciation also is there. And it depends on moods, that's such sort of comforts. We'll again discuss about this. Why are they happy at sense object enjoyment? Now we'll see each one comfort zone, body. Okay. We will see about sipping coffee. Understand? It's a physical object. Coffee, tea, or any juice, drinks, whatever you want. Here, somebody is offered coffee, he will be happy, isn't it? But the same person, if he offered a tea, he rejects. You understand? Similarly, coffee is offered to another person, he rejects. For the sake of understanding, we will say two persons are there, A and B. A is offered coffee. He says, yes, I am happy with coffee, give me. Then he will be given. And B is there. He will also be offered coffee because he already accepted it. So coffee, he is happy. I think B also should be happy with that. But B refuses. No, I don't want coffee. He says he wants tea. Then he will be given tea. Then he feels very happy. Here, in this case, you kindly understand why this man is not happy with coffee. Second person is not happy with coffee. And first person, Mr. A, is not happy with the tea. He is happy with only coffee. If the taste or giving happiness in coffee, and that coffee should also give the same taste and happiness to another person also. But it is failing there. With the second person, coffee is unable to give him happiness. Similarly, second person takes tea. The tea, if it has happiness in that, it should also be taken by the first person for happiness. But first person refuses. That means he doesn't have any happiness while sipping tea. He feels happy only with coffee. So what is this meaning? Whether happiness is in coffee or tea. So this is the question arising now. We have to decide. How one person takes something, another person takes another thing. And this person is not happy with another person. That is what is happening. And in second scenario, he is taking 1 cup of coffee because he feels happy. But if the same person is given second cup, he says, I don't want. Then you examine whether happiness, suppose if happiness is there in the first cup, and second cup should give more happiness to him. But here, the second cup loses the taste, and he refuses the second cup. Third cup, fourth cup, he will get away actually. He will refuse to take any coffee at all. But first cup, he is more happy. Second cup, less happy. Third cup, he will not be at all happy. So this is situated according to this is just going according to the depreciation of the objects. The more and more you take, the less and less satisfaction you will get. This is called depreciation. First one is likes and dislikes. You don't like coffee, so you have not taken. Second one is, though you like it, there is law of depreciation. You cannot take a second cup. Then third scenario, what is that? Suppose you lost your purse while coming to your house and your wife offers coffee. Are you going to take? He will say, no, I am not in a good mood. You give me afterwards, not now, he will say. Why? Because your mood is not okay. You are disturbed in the mind. So You are offered coffee, but coffee is unable to give you any sort of happiness at all. Otherwise, you will take coffee, no, for happiness. You say, I am very happy with coffee. But here the conditions differ. Mood is differing. Your mood also is important. If mood is okay, you will take coffee. Otherwise, you will reject. So this kind of happiness is whatever we are getting from the objects, like coffee or tea or whatever, gulab jamun or ice creams or whatever it is, food, etc., etc. All those things are temporary in nature. There is no guarantee that they give happiness for a long term. Very temporary. So, my dear master, this is called sense object enjoyment. Sense means when you take coffee, your tongue is tasting. Okay. So tongue is in contact with coffee. That's why sense object enjoyment. One of your sense organs is in touch with some object, then you derive happiness. My dear masters. And then second one, pleasure. Even, people will be at pleasure. Suppose if they go for any rewarding or functions, rewarding ceremony or wedding ceremonies, where you are rewarded with some titles and everything. There, you will be more pleasant. Your mind is very fine and your body also is fine. Mind and body both are nourished by this. Your mind is very pleasant and your body also is comfortable in a wedding ceremony or getting comfortable sitting, comfortable food. You meet your old friends. In rewarding ceremonies, you know that you will be overwhelmed at the titles you receive as a reward, as an award of cash, this and that you take, and then you feel very, very happy, both in the mind as well as from the body level, because you are in a comfort zone to be seated in a very, very comfortable chairs and all those things. You are reveled. But how long? After the function, you go back, again you are saddled with the same previous scenario of sorrow, of turbulent mind, of so many issues. Again, back to the pavilion. You keep all the reward by side and go into thinking, continuous thinking in order to solve the issues. So this sort of pleasure also temporary. They are not permanent. That is not called happiness. And peace. Peace belongs to the mind masters. Mind. If your mind is calm and quiet, then you will be at peace. Otherwise, your peace will be torn into pieces. You are very peaceful at the house. You had a sumptuous lunch, taking rest. Suddenly you receive a call from your shop. Masterji, there is a loss of 10 lakhs in the business. That's what is given to us, information like that. Then this man loses his peace. Before getting the news, he was very happy. He was very peaceful. But once the information of the loss in the business, his peace is torn. Or you receive a phone call that your boy is missing. Your peace is torn into pieces. So these are all important, but thing is that, those happiness, whatever you derive at the peaceful mind is very temporary. Because mind cannot be stable always. That's why these things are all temporary. But temporary things are not called happiness. Come and go is not happiness. Continuously, if you are happy, that is called happiness. Now the issue is, why are they happy at all with the senses? What is happiness? You are not told anything. Simply taking the ice cream is happiness. What is this happiness? People feel happiness, but how? Why should they be happy if they take ice cream? Why should they be happy when they see the old friends? What all is happening when they are sipping coffee? Why he is feeling happy? What is the cause for this? So when you understand this, when you investigate what is making him happy, definitely it is not the object, because the coffee is not giving happiness to another person, where tea is chosen by him, isn't it? And the person who is in wedding ceremony, when he goes back to the house, he is not happy again. Like this, all these things, whatever we are thinking that we were happy and all those things, we are now without happiness. Then why at all we say in the first instance we are happy? So this is the question to answer. Because they remain unmindful of their thoughts for the moment. My dear masters, kindly understand, when you are sipping coffee, you are feeling happy. But other person, when he is sipping coffee, is not happy. When he is sipping tea, he is happy. Why? The happiness is not in tea or coffee, but where is that? Because of in the duration when he is sipping either coffee or tea, because both doesn't have any kind of happinesses. Either it can be happy, either it can be coffee or tea, whatever it is. When you are sipping that, what is happening in your mind? You are forgetting your thinking there. All your issues you are keeping aside. Mind is becoming free during the time you are sipping coffee. Your mind is diverted, not on the issues, along the taste of the coffee or tea, whatever it is. So the happiness is not there. Happiness is only when you are removing your thinking, when you are removing your worries, when you are forgetting all your issues for some time. That is giving you a sort of happy mode of mind. So what is the meaning of happiness now? The same thing is with everyone, all the three. If you are sitting in a car with AC on, you are feeling happy. During that period, you forget your thoughts. Otherwise, you will not be happy. Suppose you are mindful, you are agitating your mind too much. And even if you sit in the car and lot of AC is on, you will not be happy. Always you will be afraid of your own thinking. See? When thinking is forgotten, then only you will be happy. When thinking is vacated, when your mind is becoming free from thoughts, then only you will feel happy. Chitta vritti nirodha is yoga. Yoga is happiness. Nothing is giving you happiness. If you are becoming yogi, then only chitta prasadanam. When mind is free, when mind is calm, you are happy. Prasanta manasam hi yoginam sukham upaiti. This is the definition. Prasanta manas. When one's mind is very calm, the yogis are happy at their own peaceful mind, at their own peaceful mind. That's it. They don't want anything for happiness because they are calm at their mind. That is important. So these objects are temporary. Senses lose contact of the objects, their happiness is also lost and becomes temporary. Because the objectives are not permanent. So when once the coffee is exhausted, then you are back to the unhappy state of mind again. Again, your issues will reinforce in your mind and start bothering you. So the objects are temporary. And your happiness also is temporary. Somebody is flooded in water and he is just going along with the water, going to be drowned. But at the same time, he was looking for some sort of support so that he can stay alive. But alas, he found one big tree, but that he caught hold of only branch of the tree. Unfortunately, he is not wise enough. Which one you have to catch? A branch of tree, if you catch, what happens? That also will be broken. And again, you will be flooded by water. So we must be intelligent enough, how to save ourselves. You cannot catch coffee for happiness, The coffee itself will be only for 10 minutes. How much of happiness you can have? You must have eternal happiness. You should catch the trunk of a tree so that the tree will not be moving around, and then you can be saving your life. It is like that. See here, her mind is free while sipping coffee. Her mind is free while taking ice cream, yes or no? And these people feel happy viewing the TV because they forget all their issues in the mind. Even art viewing is all like that, art pictures. And while listening to music, you forget everything. You feel happy. And no sense object enjoyment. There is no sense object enjoyment at all there. Then how enjoyment happens here? When no sense or object is involved, we call it as no sense object enjoyment. This is possible only in alignment of mind with the soul in meditation. So now you have to connect the soul with connect the mind with the soul. When you connect the mind with the object, you are getting happiness to the extent of object. Object is exhausted, you are back again. Now you have to have a trunk of a tree, as I told. Now you have to have a permanent thing. What is permanent? Eternal thing is soul. Atma. So you connect your mind with the Atma. That is like a trunk of the tree. No, it will not move at all. Then you will be safe. You will be getting eternal happiness, continuous. Because your Atma is eternal, and the happiness which you get from that is eternal, continuous. This is called meditation. What is meditation? Aligning your own mind with the soul is called meditation. Moksha bandha karana samagriyam. Moksha bandha karana samagriyam. Swasarusandhanam. Saswarupa anusandhanam bhakti iti abhidhyate. Bhaktireva gariyasi. Moksha bandha karana samagriyam bhaktireva gariyasi. That means bhakti is most important. And what is that bhakti? Bhakti is nothing but alignment of Swaswarupa anusandhanam bhakti iti abhidhyate. Kindly understand, my dear masters. What is bhakti? Bhakti is not chanting somebody's name or mantras, this and that, japa, tapa, is all not bhakti. Bhakti is just you are aligning yourself with your soul. That is called bhakti, towards your soul. Soul is Brahman. Your mind has to surrender to the Brahma. That is called real bhakti. Swaswarupa anusandhanam. Your own shape, that is Atma, you have to align. That is called bhakti. Swaswarupa anusandhanam. Adi Shankaracharya has given definition of bhakti in his legendary book, Viveka Chudamani. Kindly catch hold of that book. You will understand the realities. Understand? So this is called no sense enjoyment. It's a permanent enjoyment meditation. Okay. Now we'll go fast. So meditation is very important from the point of permanent happiness, and which is unchanging is real happiness, in fact, and everlasting is happiness. That is called bliss. Interrupted happiness is not the bliss. Uninterrupted happiness is called bliss. There is no pleasure, there is no pain there. There is no comfort or discomfort there. That is called Ananda. Ananda is the outcome of meditation. That is eternal happiness. Without anything, you will be always happy because you know that I am that. Aham Brahman. I am complete. I am sufficient for myself. So, my dear masters, this sort of happiness is always, we have to go afterwards. If you do not do meditation, you are carried away by desires. That is going to tear our life further troublesome, make life more troublesome. My dear masters, many people say, you shun desires, Desire is the cause of sorrow. Trishna is a cause of sorrow. Kindly renunciate desires, Give up the desires. Don't desire again and again and again. Have one or two desires, fine, okay. But desires are important. That drive you towards work. That makes you be busy. Yes. But PSSA wants to explain the terminology of the desires, how to handle with the desires. My dear masters, many people will be saying that you shun the desire, don't have any desires. But it is not a sin to have a desire so that you can work further and go into progress. So any number of desires you may have, no problem. But you should know how to handle them. If you do not know how to handle them, then every small desire also will kill you. So my dear masters, kindly understand, if you are having desire by desire, you have to only do one thing, that you should keep all the desires from your heart away. All desires you should be putting on the paper, not in the heart. If you keep every desire in the heart, then every desire become a brick, and they go into making a big wall across the heart, and heart cannot give you happiness. Your Atma cannot give you happiness to you because it is covered by a great wall of desires. So don't make wall there. So don't take it to the heart. All the desires you put only a list. What is that you want? Your family members may ask so many things. Everything is they are only asking, but they are not desiring that you should be in trouble because of that. They don't want you to be in trouble. But you are not understanding that. You think that, oh, I have to complete this, I have to make their desires fulfilled. Otherwise, my life is waste, like that. Don't think that way. Desires are not at all important in the life, because desires are not necessities or needs. Needs and necessities are never desires. You have to go work for only needs and necessities. Desires, okay, if it is there, but put it in a paper. And you go on working for that, just like that. You work for your further goals, you work for that. If it happens, you give it. Otherwise, you postpone it for next. All desires are postponable, no problem. But you have to work sincerely, just like you work for others. Just you work for your own targets. You work, this is one of the targets, that's it. But not keep it in the heart. Other targets, you can take it to the heart, but not desires, because desires are not needs and necessities. They are not the goals. Don't forget your goal and don't go after the desires, my dear masters. So in this way, don't construct a wall of desires in your heart. Instead of that, you make a paper, tell your wife, yes, it is, the list is there, a necklace is written here. And your son wants some bike, yes, it is listed here. And so many people want so many things. Yes, all are there here. You also want so many things. You put it there. No problem. Don't worry about it. One by one, you go on working. That's it. It is happening. It happens. Don't worry about it, because it is a desire. It is an excess. It is not a needs and necessities. This is how you have to handle desires. My dear masters, some people keep on telling, everybody must have burning desire to achieve that. The very wrong words. No desire should burn you, in fact. You should burn the desire. Desire should not burn you. There is no question of desire to burn anything. Desire itself is an unnecessary thing. It should be burnt away. Okay. If you want so much, very, very compulsory, very needed, necessity, then it becomes a goal. It is not a desire. Don't call it as a desire. Okay. That is called erosion of happiness. All the desires are taking away your happiness. What is the remedy? The remedy is you catch hold of the goals and start working with the wisdom of meditation. Be in meditation and start achieving the goals. Meditation will give the idea of creativity, idea of goals in your life to achieve. If you are not in meditation, you will only get hold of only desires. There is no goal for you at all. You do not know where you want to go, what you want to become. Nothing is there. Only desires. That's it. I want to go this picture, that money, this money I want. How to earn? Any kind of means. So they will be on wrong path. So that is, my dear masters, we should not be on wrong path. We should be in meditation and find out our goals and go on achieving. Every goal can be taken care of. One goal is sufficient for the entire life. That's enough. And no desire should be touched upon. But if they want, this is the methodology. Put it on the white paper, not in the heart. Kindly don't mistake that desires or should be neglected. No. Or they should not be given proper importance. No. Just like others, genuine service we should give for them. That's it. So this is what the desires and wall of desires and solution for the desires. We will see this video now.
In the last 6 months, more than 1,000 books have been published about it. Universities around the world are teaching on it. For 30 years, scientists have been studying it. Governments are appointing cabinet positions to oversee it. The United Nations named an official day after it. Google Analytics proved people are searching for it. In fact, it's one of humanity's oldest pursuits. Happiness. We are wealthier, more educated, and live longer than any previous generation. And as a nation, the US is one of the wealthiest, most powerful, and technologically advanced. And in the most recent World Happiness Report, the United States ranked 17th. And during the Great Depression, when there was little to be happy about, we were actually 18% less depressed than we are now. We have been taught that hard work equals success, which equals happiness, right? Wrong. Research proves happiness is actually a precursor to success, not the other way around. Did you know? Neuroscience proves that we are hardwired to perform at our best when we are happy. Studies show that happy, positive, optimistic people earn higher incomes, set and achieve more aggressive goals, experience less stress, remain calm in high-pressure situations, are more energetic, recover from illness faster, and live longer. Happiness is serious business. When we engage in positive, real-life relationships, our bodies release chemicals that actually help reduce anxiety and increase concentration and focus. How you feel and your attitude toward life all stem from your thoughts, actions, and where you focus your time and energy. Yet we are constantly surrounded by negativity. If we want things to change, we have to create the change. And we start by choosing positivity and happiness. Just imagine the possibilities if there were more happy and positive people in this world. A world with more peace, optimism, and compassion is possible. Like a pebble thrown into a pond, it only takes one to create the ripple of happiness. Happiness is so contagious and infectious that one positive person can spread happiness to more than 1,000 people. That means all it takes to create change on a local, regional, state, country, global scale is one person. And research shows that just by spreading happiness, you actually become happier. You can choose happiness and choose to share it. You can be the catalyst to spread it directly and indirectly. Are you that one? It starts with you, yet it's bigger than you. Happiness is bold. It is courageous, audacious, and challenging. You have the power to choose happiness and to spread it. Join the movement. Share the movement. Be the one who makes the difference. And live happy.
One more small video is there. You can just go through this. Let us see. Time is there? No, it is there. 2 minutes will take more.
Hi, this is Dare to Do Motivation. And today I want to talk about happiness. When you were a child, you loved and craved chocolate and cake. And you thought, when I'm old, like my parents, I'll have all the chocolate and cake I want, and then I'll be happy. Now you have so much chocolate and cake, but you are bored. So you decide that since cake doesn't make you happy anymore, you will get a car, a house, a television, a husband or wife. Then you'll be happy. So now you have everything. But there are more problems. The car is a problem. The house is a problem. The husband or wife is a problem. The children are a problem. You realize, oh, this is not satisfaction. But Buddha is saying that you only have to know what you are and how you exist. That's all. Just understand your mind, how it works, how attachment and desire arise, how ignorance arises, where emotions come from. It is sufficient to know the nature of all that. Just that gives so much happiness and peace. Your life changes completely. Everything gets turned upside down. What you interpreted as horrible becomes beautiful. And how to check your mind? Just watch how your mind perceives or interprets any object that it contacts. What feeling, comfortable or uncomfortable, arises. Then you check. When I perceive this kind of view, this feeling arises. That emotion comes. I discriminate in such a way. This is how to check the mind, and that is all. It is very simple. You see, in life, in your life, control your emotions and don't let your emotions control you. You will never find happiness unless you understand yourself, unless you understand your emotions and how you perceive things. It is never about the object, but always how you look at it. This is Dare to Do Motivation, Stories. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.
Yes, masters. This is all about happiness for today. Now you understood that being happiness is your choice. If you want to be happy, you can be happy. It is not the object that makes you happy. This is the essence of happiness. It's a choice. Anybody can be happy, not with the assistance of anything in this world. You yourself are happiness. You have abundant happiness in you. With that happiness, you will be able to discharge everything, create everything. It is for you to create. And the more happiness will create more things. Creativity is there. You understand your own mind. That is the center point for happiness. So ultimately, happiness is the status of mind. If mind is turbulent, no happiness. If the mind is calm and quiet, you are happy. It's very simple. The only thing is that you should align your mind to the self. You must have self-knowledge. So long you do not have self-knowledge, your mind will not be able to be still. Your mind will never accept anything, whatever you offer. If you connect your mind with the self, then only it will be keeping quiet. Then only you will be enjoying everything. Self is the master of your mind. You understand? So, my dear masters, this is the lessons of today. This is the eternal lesson, and this is the lifelong lesson. From PSSA wants, kindly choose to be happy, not to choose the objects, Baba. Don't choose anything outside. You choose yourself to be the utmost happy person. That's it. Be happy and do everything. Everything will happen on its own. So thank you very much with all the good wishes for happiness to all of you. Okay. Now it is Koteshwar Rao to be happy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for today's class. Since today's is a happiness class, I will share one of my experience, sir. Around 1 year back in my meditation, I have experienced this highest bliss, that happiness, like in my meditation, but it lasts only for 2 seconds, not more than that.
Yes.
I touch my inner happiness, the Brahmananda. You cannot compare this outside happiness to that happiness.
Yes.
This happened to me like 1 year back. I have experienced this temporary happiness always, like when we pass academics or when we got job or increments, when you got married and children, okay, children are studying, and you got car, okay, these happinesses I have experienced. And then again, unhappy, happy, this all going on. But this wonderful experience, like 1 year back, it happened to me.
Yes.
Yes, you yourself is happiness there. There is no separate. Again, here you can see the happiness is coming and separately. You are separate and happiness is separate. In that experience, you yourself is happiness. There is no, again, you are not separate from the happiness. Like that I have experienced just for 2 seconds, not more than that again.
Yes, it's fine.
This happened to me.
Yes.
So I
Keep
just
doing
share,
it. Keep doing it. The 2 minutes should become a lifelong, That is
lifelong.
the target. That is the target.
So I just share my experience to get
Very
benefit
good.
for all
Very good.
people. So
Yes.
right, thank you, sir. So we will continue another 10-15 minutes. If anybody wants to share their thoughts or they have any questions. Thank you.
And, I want to share the same experience what Koteshwar got. I too got about 13 years back, I believe. I was just beginner in the meditation at that point of time when I was attending the session of Brahmarshi Subhash Patriji. He was playing the flute, and in meditation, I felt that kind of immense happiness coming out from within. So at that point of time, when I came out of meditation, so even my face was glowing. So
Yes.
that kind of extreme happiness I have experienced in meditation when Patriji was playing the flute. So that was, I felt that, my God, I've never experienced this kind of happiness which is coming from within. So that point of time, I understood the importance of meditation. Then I told myself that, yes, I will do meditation regularly. So that's how I experienced. I thought of sharing with everyone.
Yes. Very happy at that. Everybody will be inspired by such experiences. That's why all meditators will someday or the others, for some time or the other, they'll be in the similar situations. And then they will reach the ultimate bliss. That is the target of every meditator. Okay. Okay. Any more masters?
If nobody is talking, I will just talk for 2 minutes of yesterday's topic. What Shalini madam was talking about, juvenile court experience. That is what she was talking about. I will just share one experience of one Delhi master, Shastri ji. So in meditation, he got one experience that he got one kind of in meditation that there are many people in the jail, especially women and children were there in the jail. That is what he has got the experience in meditation. So he thought, why I am getting about jail and this thing. So after a few days, he got an opportunity to go and take session uh, for jails. Jail superintendent, he accidentally met him, and he got opportunity to take session in Tihar jail. Tihar jail is famous for very notorious criminals. So Shastri ji, he got the opportunity to take session. So he went there and he took the session. So he saw all the ladies and the young children were entangled for various crimes and this thing. So when he started teaching for meditation, so there were, let us say there are 100 prisoners there. So after some time, when they also started doing meditation in 2 or 3 months, 80% of the jail, all the prisoners were released. That is the power of meditation. When they started doing meditation, so by some or other reason, so they all were released from the jails. So
Yes.
that kind of miracle has happened. So these are the real experiences. What
Yes.
D.L. Shastri Garu from our Pyramid Spiritual Society, Delhi, he has shared with sometime. So that kind of miracle happens. So in one such incident, one lady was suffering from almost, she was jailed from almost 5-6 years for some reason. So she was regularly doing the meditation. In fact, the lawyer should speak on behalf of her. But in this case, the judge spoke on behalf of her, and he told that she can get bail if you use this clause to to her lawyer. And the lawyer was astonished what the judge is telling me on behalf of her, and he used that clause, and she got bail. So and after that she was released. So these kind of a few experiences he shared with me. I thought like how meditation really helps for all segment of people. That is what I just wanted to say.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Next, Kalidasa, who is available?
Sahitya, madam. Yes.
Sahitya.
Good evening, sir.
Very good
Sir,
evening.
I have one doubt.
Hmm.
Sir, in presence of nature, whether it's a sunrise or sunset, beach or like that, is it a temporary happiness or um, how, sir, it is?
Happiness cannot be temporary. Happiness means is a continuous happiness. That is a blissful state. It is not happiness, it is the state of mind. And
Okay.
people do not know, the society does not know what is happiness. That's why they call everything as bliss and happiness and everything, whatever they want. The informatory science they call wisdom. Okay. The wisdom is not informatory science. Creativity is wisdom. But in the society, wisdom is not in the usage. People do not know what is wisdom. So it goes on in the name of knowledge. Similarly, happiness also is like that. Happiness is not in the existence actually. It's the only bliss available. It is a happy state of mind. That is what they are telling. There is no happiness as such. It is a state of mind. If the mind is happy, at least for some time, that is when it is forgetting its own turbulent ideas or turbulent issues or a lot of thinking, this and that and everything, then it will achieve the state of happiness, and it should be retained. Stability should be there. Then only it is called happiness. Otherwise, it is not happiness. It is only a peace happiness. That's it. Okay. So happiness is not that getting from outside. It is from inside it should come. Okay.
Yeah. So it is similar to how we see television or having a cup of coffee like that.
It's only temporary happiness. You want that only to the extent TV is there. When it's current off, then you will, instead of TV, you will break your own head, isn't it? So it depends on the all sorts of things, what is happening in the physicality. That is not permanent. So you will not be happy all through. For some time, for half an hour, you will be okay. For half an hour, you will be 2 hours in doldrums again. You will be worrying about for 2 hours for each 10 minutes of happiness. Who wants that sort of happiness? It is not called happiness. For 10 minutes, you are okay. For 1 hour, you will be weeping. What is this? No weeping at all. Only blissful state. That is called happiness. Happiness is called, actually, there is no word equivalent to Ananda in English. It is not happiness. In Sanskrit, there is no happiness. It is only Ananda is there. Ananda, it is called in Sanskrit. It is not happiness. Happiness is not equivalent word to Ananda. Ananda means eternal. He will never be unhappy at all because he knows what is happiness. So he will be always in Ananda state. That's why, many people, they keep their name as, so many, Nityananda, Satyananda, all Anandas only. They attach the word Ananda to their names. Satchidananda, yes or no? What? They want only Ananda, that's it. So whether they have Ananda or not, at least by name, at least they will include in that. We wish that everybody should be after Ananda. Ananda means whether you are TV, you are having TV or no TV, both are same for you. So you are happy in the absence of TV, you are happy in the presence of TV. That is called Ananda. You understand?
Yes.
There is no
So
difference. Yes. Tell me.
One more doubt, sir. So even we, like, if we know after taking classes, even we are awareness of our thoughts. In some situations we are pushed to getting angry, or even though it is not a right thing to do, but we are pushed to that situations of getting angry or scolding someone. So how we have to handle that?
You are not pushed. You have selected to be angry. You have only chosen to be angry. There is nobody can push you to any corner, to anything. Unless you are weak, unless you accept, nobody is there to trouble you. If you want to be victim, you will be the victim. Because your weakness always leads to unhappiness. So you should not say somebody is pushing you. That is wrong statement, in fact. Nobody is there. It is your choice to get angry. If you think, I don't want to be angry, can you not be without angry? Without anger? It is possible. Yes or no? Is it not possible? You tell me, in your own house, there are some instances where you are getting angry. You have to unmute it and then only speak. Okay, nice. In many of the houses, there will be many instances where people are provoked or they get provoked easily because of their weakness in the mind. They will be victims of somebody's anger or his own anger, isn't it? But the mind is weak in both the cases. If you decide, I will not be angry, nobody can make you angry. Even the God cannot come and make you angry. When you decide that I am not going to be angry at all, that's the end of it. Kartum akartum anyatha kartum manaha samarthaha bhavati. This is what Uddhava says, a friend of Krishna. Uddhava says to Krishna, what is that you are doing? You can do anything, you do it. Manaha, and your mind is capable of Do any particular thing. If you want to be angry, you can be angry. If you want to be angry, you will be angry only. If you don't want to be angry, you will never be angry. It is your choice. And you can do some other thing also. You can go very smoothly and all those things without being angry. You can show anger, that's it. You can only show, Baba, if you are not keeping quiet, I will be getting a lot of anger, which will definitely land up into problems for me and you. You speak like that, no problem. But no anger physically. So that is possible in your mind has got the capacity to be still always. That is why meditation is coming to effect. You got the point? Yes.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
All of us should learn this sort of art of controlling our own mind and choosing the right thing for us. That is called free will. You have a choice to choose, isn't it? You want to fight? Fight. You don't want to fight? Don't fight. The other person will be fighting always. It is his choice. It has nothing to do with you. If he is coming upon you, encroaching upon you, or he is doing it, he is indulging violence on you, then you escape. Such other ways of meaning, discuss anything, everything is possible. Only in cases of pranahani, life-saving crisis, then only you should resort to violence. If somebody is killing, you kill him, that's it. Otherwise, no violence. There are so many methods. Samadana Veda. No danda. Samadana Veda. After that only danda should come. Not, no, Samadana Veda, danda is there, so I will take danda in the beginning itself. Then your lifelong you will be only with danda, that's it. Not a right choice. And sufficient justification should be there for violence to be taken up. Without justification, it should not. Even with justification, Jesus Christ has demonstrated that he will excuse everybody, even though they tortured him, they have treacherously, they have applied a lot of violence physically on him. Still, he opted to excuse. What a beautiful personality demonstrated. Okay. It is like that, madam. Okay. Any more people?
Sir.
Yes.
Very nice, excellent class, sir.
Yes. What about Nanaji? What do you feel?
Very nice class, sir. I'm talking. Nanaji only. Excellent class, sir. Sir, one thing, sometimes we have to act that you are angry. That is okay, right?
You should not. No, you have no right to be angry. You know what sort of authority you have got to be angry with him? If somebody is doing.
Actually, you are not angry, but you will act like you're angry.
Show angry, that's it.
That show, like.
That's all. Only demonstrate, not physically take up.
Yes, yes.
You should not hit anybody. You should say that I am going to hit it. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't hit. Don't hit. If you hit, you are only involved in crime. That's it. Because you are not here to punish anybody, sir. Every offender has got his own karma behind him. He will experience that. Your teaching or your punishing is an extra for him, actually. He will repeat, he will experience his own consequences of his own bad karma. Yes or no? Karma is there always. If he does bad, he will get bad. Already there is cosmic law of karma is already framed. It is operational. Then why you are unnecessarily involving in the law of karma? Then you will be getting attached to that and you will be involved in the law of karma. You will have to face similar situation again. So leave it at that. If somebody does wrong thing, it is not for you. You have not done a wrong thing. You should not bother about it. At the maximum, you can only advise. That's it. And leave it. And the other person, he repents. or he will experience the result of his own bad action. That's it. That is always there. So your action is superfluous, in fact. And you are not here to punish anybody. Yeah? You kindly understand that point. You are here to live your life, not to supervise others' life, others' conduct. I think
True, sir.
they are nobody to you. Even your children are not your children. They come on their own. They work for their own. Then they get away without telling you also. So these are all the spiritual signs, That's why, the man is highly, wise enough. Rishi he becomes. Once he understands spiritual science, he will never repent anything. He will never be sorrowful at all in the life. Well, come what may. He will understand everything and remains calm. This is what we have to achieve. Okay. That is called Ananda, bliss. No pain, no gain. No pain, no pleasure. Pleasure is not there, pain is not there. We are Satchidananda, Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means energy, Chit means mind. Energized mind. By alignment of this mind to the soul, you have to align that. Then you have to gain energy there. Self energy will come to the mind. Sat Chit means mind. Sat Chit Ananda. When one's mind is energized by the soul energy, then you will be eligible for Ananda. The outcome will be Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. Ananda is derived from the mind which is energized by the soul. That is why Vivekananda, his name was not Vivekananda. His name was something else. His name was Narendra. And he understood, Baba, in the life, Narendra will not work anything, but I want Ananda. So he said, Ananda, where from it comes? He understood, oh, Viveka is important. Wisdom only gives Ananda, sir. That's why he says Viveka Ananda. He put his name like that. Because Viveka is important. I want Buddhi. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. That's why he selected Buddhi for Viveka. Viveka means Buddhi, Vichakshana Gnana. Viveka Ananda. From Viveka, he will get Ananda. Ananda means blissful state. Whether it's there or not, nothing, I'm always happy. It is like that. Okay. So great personalities understood that. And we have to follow the path. And we should also understand for ourselves, not mere blind following will not work. Everything you should understand. Like the Vivekananda, why that name? You should understand that. And he said, education is character. Nobody listens today. We will salute Vivekananda, but no character building is there in education. It is like that. So Ananda will not be there. He said, spiritualize India. And he went away. Nobody is to listen. We only keep some flowers before him on the day of his Jayanti or Vardhanti or whatever. With that, it is closed chapter. Yeah. So only meditators have to turn the table around. A lot of responsibility for the wise people. Yes. Okay. Next. Tell me, Nanaji. You got your answer?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Absolutely. But one more thing can I ask, sir?
Yes, yes, always.
Does enlightened people get angry?
They are not getting angry. So they will only exhibit the angry. That's it. Exhibit the angry. But one thing is there, the super level. It is not angry. It is only the love that goes into. Even in spite of all the things we are getting, but the people are not listening. So what sort of thing? When they will stop their tears? So that will push the emotion first. it looks as if they are angry at you. They are not angry. They are not willfully angry. But the more desire to wipe out the tears of others, their emotion will be gushed in advance of the analysis of the wisdom. Okay. But it looks to the people, as though they are angry. But that is only in
the next moment they will become very, yeah.
No, that is only to make the people think for a while. Okay. That is important. There is a says Vishwamitra is always said to be angry. He is known for anger, isn't it?
Angry sage.
But he is a Rajarshi, Brahmarshi and all that. So the thing is that why his character they are molding in order to teach people lessons, proper lessons, fast lessons. But actually they don't go for violence. Only for wisdom they use it. To bring awareness in the people they use it, not for punishing. No danda is there with them. They only go for making more point. Wisdom they are bringing in you. That's how it happens. Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Then, yes. Any more people are there today? Okay, fine. You can take a call now.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think we can conclude our meeting, sir, with this. For masters, we will join again next Thursday.
Yes.
Another session with the topic is, I think.
What is the topic?
Analysis.
Okay, you tell me later on.
Okay, we'll send.
You send that.
Okay, master. By WhatsApp.
The next day only you should put the flyer. Okay.
Yeah.
So every day there should be flyer should be there. Every day it is, because this is what is compulsory for us. We must contribute to that extent. Every morning first this flyer should go. Repetitions always. We have to remind our own brothers. That is how we should serve the people. Go on telling. Repeat. And then sometime it will happen. Okay. If you want a fruit, you have to hit it 10 times. You understand?
Yeah. Okay, sir. Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Same analysis. You want fruit not for only one flyer will not work. You have to keep on releasing arrows, arrow by arrow. Okay. Some last arrow will take the credit. Right from the first arrow itself, you started, the work starts.
Yes.
Last arrow will take the credit. It is like that.
Yeah, by looking flyer, maybe some people keep just joining 5 minutes and some people 1 minute, and then they are going like my old